Hi, we'd like to welcome you to Fabric Chicks, or not Fabric Chicks, Quilt Show Reno live on this beautiful Monday morning, afternoon. Sorry, it's been kind of crazy. But we have Michele Young Crawford here, and she is with Flower Box Quilts. I'm just going to turn it right over to Michele so that she can tell us and show us about her paper piecing classes that she has coming up at Quilt Show Reno. So if you haven't signed up for classes, you're going to want to go ahead and get signed up. They do sell out, and you're also going to want to book your hotel room. So Michele, I'm always just inquisitive, and I like to know, like, what got people into sewing, and why'd you decide to do this as a business?
Sorry.
Okay, that's great. I started as a designer in 1989. So, Beth, I've been through the ups and downs of the quilting industry for a very long time. And when I started way back when, I started designing projects for magazines. And I was working for a variety of quilting and craft magazines. Unfortunately, most of them don't exist anymore. But if you remember Quick and Sew Quilting, The Quilter, Traditional Quilter, all kinds of different things. But I've had over 4,500 designs published in magazines and books and on websites. And what I used to do was work directly with fabric, thread, and batting manufacturers, and I would do projects to showcase their products, especially new fabric collections. And so that we would design projects that would be in the current magazine and have you run to your local quilt store, and order or buy the fabric. And then you would have the directions in the magazine. And I did that for a very long time, till about 2014. Before that, we started kitting. This was way back in the early 2000s when websites were pretty much just starting and fabric stores were making kits. So we used to do a lot of different kits, order the fabric in, and I would work with a lot of different customers. And so then we started vending at shows. I live in Spokane, Washington. So my husband and I would travel and vend, and we would sell our kits, also our quilt patterns from my quilt pattern line called Flower Box Quilts. And we've been at Road to California, Houston, AQS Paducah, Daytona Beach. We've been to Minnesota, all kinds of Oregon, Montana, Kentucky, all over everywhere. And we loved doing it. We traveled and vended for about 10 years. And we loved it until, of course, COVID started. And we decided to just kind of backtrack or stop doing the vending. And I am just teaching now. And in 2020, I started to learn how to teach virtually. So I teach virtually and in person. And I do miss being with people. It was fun when the first time I did a show and taught after COVID was in Branson, Missouri for AQS. And it was so much fun to actually see people in my classroom rather than seeing the little squares on my computer screen. So that's my life, and I love teaching, and I'm anxious to come back to Reno. We did the show a variety of times as a vendor, and I've also taught there. But this time I'm just teaching 13 different classes, 3 every day. And I'm excited to talk to you today about my English paper piecing classes. English paper piecing classes is completely different from foundation piecing classes. English paper piecing classes uses templates like this that you actually hand sew the fabric onto the template. And then when you sew them together, you get different shapes. Foundation paper piecing is when you're sewing directly on the lines of the fabric with your sewing machine. So this is all done by hand, which means it's a great portable project to do as a sewer. I've done it all over the place. I've done it at baseball games and in the car, if you can handle sewing in the car, watching TV, having coffee with a friend, or wherever you happen to be. You can just stick a little Ziploc bag in your purse with your needle and your templates and your fabric, and then just sew away wherever you are. So what we're doing is, I like to do technique classes for English paper piecing. And you can see on my back wall, there's a variety of different projects that I've designed, because a lot of people think that English paper piecing is just doing a hexagon. Now, these are hexagons back up here, which is the normal thing that people think about. But there are so many other different kinds of shapes that you need to learn how to stitch, because they each take a different way of working with your fabric and your template. Now, I'm a teacher who believes there are many ways to get to the same result in sewing, whether it's by hand or machine. I don't think anyone is right, but I think it is a good idea to check out a variety of techniques or products or tools in order to do the project that you want to do the way you want to do it. And in English paper piecing, there are people who will glue, and I recommend a water-soluble glue pen, not a craft glue pen. A craft glue pen means you're going to be doing, you would be sticking paper to paper or fabric to paper or something like that, which means that it's not ideal for English paper piecing, because what you do is you will remove the paper template when you do your project. For instance, when it's like this is what the back of it would look like without the templates. So a water-soluble fabric glue pen, that's another thing. And a lot of people say, well, what kind of needle do you want? And there are people who will say, I like a milliner's needle, a 9 or a 10. And I am one who, they're too long for my small hands. So I just suggest to people that they use a needle that is comfortable for them. So that's a little bit different. So anyways, if you come to my classes, we're going to be doing different techniques. The first technique we're going to be doing is learning how to do a variety of very simple designs. And these are small projects that you can do and you can learn. For instance, this one you're going to learn how to do a hexagon, which is in the middle. This is called a jewel, which is a completely different shape. And then you're also going to learn how to do a triangle, and they're pretty darn small. And you're going to say, what are all those little, I call these monkey tails. And you don't cut them off. Once you applique it down or whatever you're going to do it, you just fold it back and it gets stitched underneath the shape. So don't worry about that. So anyways, you're going to learn how to make each of these shapes separately and then how you sew them together. And when you look on the back, you can see that these are all basted. And I do baste with a needle. My feeling is that when you're doing English paper piecing, you want your pieces to fit together like a puzzle. So they're nice and tight. And you want to make sure that you get those nice, tight points. So in my class, I'll say, make sure you pull that fabric carefully over the template and sew it down so that you will be able to put them together like a puzzle piece. And I can zoom in on this and you can see where the basting is. Now, it doesn't matter what your basting stitches are on this template, because they're all going to be removed once you are completed and you decide what you're going to do with this. Some people will hand applique them, some people machine applique them. So anyways, so this is one of the things we're going to use in how to learn how to use different shapes to create a hexagon, because these shapes do make a hexagon, if you can see that. So that's one of the things. This is another of the projects you're going to learn how to do. So there's a hexagon in the middle, and these are half hexagons. So you can see that the different shapes you have to learn how to work with them and how they are basted and how they are put together. And the other one you're going to do is you're going to learn how to do a hexagon with a diamond. And as you can see, when these are put together, it does make a hexagon. So in this class is a basic one. And you will learn how to create all of these shapes and make it into a hexagon. So again, a technique class. So one of the things somebody will say is, well, how do you sew them together? Well, what I like to do, and there are different ways, but what I like to do is called the flat back stitch. And if you can see this, that might be a little hard there, but the flat back stitch is a stitch so that you do not see your stitches on the front. Now, I will show you how to do the whip stitch, which is one of the things that people like to use. And great controversy at times, just like what kind of needles or what kind of thread or baste or whatever. But I will show you the flat back stitch. So this is one. This is a sample. And if I had my document camera, which I use in my class, I could zoom in on this. Now, I used pink thread to sew this together. Okay, the outside diamonds are still basted. And I probably have, if you can see, probably maybe I've heard people say 20 to 25 to 32 stitches an inch that you're stitching. And that's just, you're going to go buggy-eyed. You're going to go blind. But on the front, you can still see the stitches on the front. And that's using the whip stitch. Your choice. I will show you how to do it. Same design, but in a different fabric. And this time I used the flat back stitch. And when you look on the back, you can see I did them in kind of a light gray, and you can see that you can see the stitches on the back, but you cannot see them on the front. Now, I'm in a Facebook group called English Paper Piecing, and there are people, especially beginners, who come in and they'll go, what do I do? Because I can see my stitches. It looks handmade. It doesn't look like it's finished. I want to be able to do it differently. Then I would show you the flat back stitch. But there are some people who will say, I like to have the stitches show. It shows that it was handmade. So it's a choice of what you want to do. But I prefer the flat back stitch. You're going to put a lot of time and effort into it. It's called slow stitching. Now, everything else in our life is instantaneous. It's fast. This is something that you can sit and do and enjoy the process. So that's what the flat back stitches. Another class that I'm teaching is how to do jewels. And the jewels one was a class that Opal, who's the director of the show, she must like jewels because she picked this one. So you're going to be learning how to do a variety of different jewels. For instance, this is one where it is 6 jewels sewn together into a shape. And you can see on the back what it looks like. And if you can kind of make a little pinwheel in the center when all your little monkey tails are sewn together in the center. So this is just a different shape. They're all hand basted. Some of them have the templates out just to show, because at the end you just undo your basting stitches and then you just slide the template out. Very, very easy. So that's one of them. The next one you're going to learn is you can take your jewel pieces and you can make them into hearts. So these are 2 jewel pieces and they can make into hearts. And then you can put a diamond in between them to connect them all together. So this is real fun to do too. But again, we're using basting stitches. So basically I'm using kind of, I call it a smear of water-soluble glue down the middle of the template. I put that glue side down on the wrong side of the fabric. I'm folding over the edges and I'm basting them down. And yeah, it does take time, but again, you want your pieces, your fabric to be very taut around those templates so that when they are sewn together, you get those nice, crisp points that are easy to connect together. Think again like a puzzle. So that's the second one. Then the third project we're going to do is this. And so you've got a hexagon in the middle, and then all the jewels are around it. So it kind of makes, this could be a table runner, it could be applique to the center of a pillow. Very easy to do. And as you can see, they all fit together very nicely, and they're challenging to do if you haven't tried them before, but it is fun to do. And this is the jewels class. Now, there are a lot of different other kinds of templates to do. And one of the other ones we're going to do is called a curved class. Curves are a little bit more challenging because there is a curve. So one of them, this is called an ice cream cone. And it's kind of a fun, and I did fussy cut the stripes on this. And on the back, you can see how they are basted on. And I'm suggesting that people use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So if you are cutting the fabric for your class, it already has a seam allowance in it. The reason why I suggest a 3/8 of an inch, especially for these, because these are like called a 1-inch shape, is because I never know if the fabric is going to fray or not. And if you didn't get it right on it, you got to have enough to fold over the edge. So this is called an ice cream cone. And this is the first of the curved projects we're going to learn. Now, the second one, this is called a hex den. And it's a really cute little flower. In the center is a hexagon. So you'll make a hexagon in the middle. And then the outside part, you can see, is an edge, curved edge, and you'll learn how to gather it and to stitch it down so that you get a nice curved edge on the hexagon parts. So that's a little bit more challenging. And you can see I've got, when you're basting, you can use any kind of thread, any kind of color, because it will all be removed. Now, the last one is probably the most difficult one, I think, and it's called an apple core. And it looks like this. So you'll be making a shape like this with 9 different apple core shapes. And so what you're going to do, this is where you're clipping the seam allowances so that you can fold them around the curve. So there's a concave and a conclave, I think it is, an inner and an outer shape. So this one's a little bit more hard to do, but they do go together. And again, once you get those nice points on the shape, they will fit together like puzzle pieces. I've seen people who don't stitch them down, they may glue them down, and then they have a problem getting the template out. The templates are very easy to slide out. Okay, so that's the curved one. Now, the next one we're going to do is called the Brimfield block. And this is the sample that is on the website. And so you're learning how to do a variety of different shapes. They're curved shapes that will make the circle. And then there are other shapes that are inside, and then the points on the outside. There's actually 3 different kinds of points. This is a great scrappy project. So when I did this, all the reds are different. All the navies are different. So it's a great scrap project to do. And then I applicate it on a base. And so it's ready to be made into a pillow once all of the templates are taken out. Now, on this one, I can show you, I even have a needle in it. So when you're putting together sections like this, you're going to be using tape. Some people will use magnets. That's something that's become more popular. Again, I'm a frugal quilter, so I like to use what I already have. And so if it's your choice to buy the magnets, go for it. But what I use is tape on my English paper piecing. It's actually medical tape. And it is sticky, but not like masking tape. You can pull it off very easily, like this. But it'll stay together and it'll keep your projects, your pieces together while you are appliquing them. So what you can see on the back is a part of this Brimfield block and how they are numbered so you know which ones go together to make the entire circle. And you can see how I have them flat back stitched. I will show you in flat back stitch how you can use black thread on white fabric and you will never see the black stitches, which is quite amazing. If you did it with a whip stitch, you'd see them. So this is just something that we're going to do. And again, you're not going to finish any of these projects. You'll get through everything that you can, all the sections that you know how to do. So this again is another sample. This is from a class. This is a completed one. And then as you can see on the back, they're all numbered. So you know how they go in order especially because of these are different sizes. And so you need to know which sizes go together to make the circle and which ones on the points have to go together. So this is what you would end up with before you made it into an applique. So this is the Brimfield block. This one is on Saturday morning. Now the last one I'm going to show you is because a lot of people may not be quilters per se, and they think that they can't use them as appliques for a quilt. But as you can see in the back, I've shown you how to use the actual pieces without connecting them all together. You can use them as appliques. So instead of having to worry about like an odd curved edge around the shape of your applique, I use the blocks together to make an applique. So this is one where you're going to learn how to use the apple cores. Let me get some water. So once you put your apple cores together, then it becomes an applique in the center of the quilt, and then you can add a pieced border on it. This is made out of batiks, all batiks except for the white. Batiks are a little bit harder to do with English paper piecing because the fabric is so dense and it's hard to pull it around it, so that when you do use it, you have to put your pieces on the bias, so your pieces are cut a little bit bigger. But you'll get directions and on how to make the apple core and then how to make the actual quilt. So the other part, when you get to learn two shapes, this is the jewel shape. The jewel shape as hearts. So on this one, as I showed you in the sample, where is it? Hang on. On this sample, I will show you how to sew the diamonds in, but there's another way you can do it. So all of the heart jewels are sewn together without that center white diamond. So it's kind of like a lattice. It kind of saves you some time so you don't have to sew those white diamonds in between. But so that part is open. And then when you applicate on top of the whatever your background fabric is, then that background fabric will show through that opening. So it saves a little time, just a little bit different. So you're going to learn how to do this one too, and how to make it as a quilt. It's still a hand class. You won't need your sewing machine for it, but I will show you how to do both the jewels and the apple cores in that class. So again, all the classes are done by hand, unless you'll have to finish this at home. They're to learn how to do all these different shapes, and there are just a plethora of all kinds of different shapes in English paper piecing. And I hope that these technique classes will help you enjoy this fabulous part of the sewing world. It's very popular now, and it's a great way to use up your scraps. I'm sorry, fabric isn't going to get any less expensive, and you need to use what you have. You bought it, you love it. Now let's be creative with it and take along a portable project for sewing wherever you go. So please sign up for my classes, my English paper piecing classes, and they're 3 hours, and we hope to see you in Reno. So Beth,
perfect. Michelle, I do know that there's a couple of ladies on here and gentlemen that do English paper piecing already. Do you have techniques in your class that are geared more towards the advanced students?
I would say learning the curved piecing is the more advanced one, and also the Brimfield one is a little bit more advanced. I've had people come into my basic classes, and I'm teaching the flat back stitch. And I had these people come in at a show, and they had all these pieces of English paper piecing to show me. And I was like, why are you in a basic class?
Yeah.
When you're doing all of this? And she said, we came in to learn the flat back stitch. And I said, well, that's great. So anyways, that was like maybe in the evening, and they came back the next day to my booth, and they came up. It was right at the beginning of the show. They came right up to me and said, you changed our lives. And it was like,
oh,
this is serious. This was amazing. And I'm like, okay. And she said, the flat back stitch, to learn the flat back stitch was a game changer, because we never knew about it and we don't see our stitches. And I said, then that's worth the price of any class that you go to.
Right.
I also had another lady who came in one time in a class, same thing. She brought in this huge Civil War type fabric, English paper piecing quilt that she did. It was huge. And she said, I have tried different kinds of thread, different kinds of needles, more stitches, less stitches. And she was basically using like an ecru thread on like a muslin fabric. She said, Michelle, you can see the stitches on the front.
Right.
So when I taught her the flat back stitch, and she saw that you didn't see the stitches on the front after she said, I have 32 stitches an inch on some of these. You're going to go like blind. That's crazy. I normally say 10 to 15 stitches with a flat back. And so she said, do you think I should take all these blocks out and redo them? And I was like, no, please don't do that. But again, the flat back stitch, I think, is the key. But again, there are other people who swear by the whip stitch.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of the, like, what kind of needles, what kind of thread, what kind of fabric, all kinds of different things.
Personal preference.
I will show you how to make templates out of freezer paper. And so that's also a cost saving. Again, I'm a frugal quilter. I don't have every tool in the book, but I will show you how to use what you have efficiently. So hopefully that will help.
Perfect. All right, Michele, thank you so much for joining us. And I know if you guys have questions for Michele, she will be on again with us in a couple of weeks. But go ahead and get signed up for her class. Which class are you teaching the flat back stitch in?
In all of them. So
Okay.
the Broomfield Star, Apples and Jewels, the curved one, the jewel one, and then create a hexagon. And I'll be back in a couple weeks to show you the other ones, the other classes that I'm teaching. I have piecing and I have hand embroidery classes. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, flowerboxquilts@gmail.com. Happy to help you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Michele. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, so hang on a second. We're just gonna get Sue Purdy right on the screen. Hang on a second. You know, me and technology. Okay, there we are. So we have Sue Purdy with us today, and Sue, you're doing laser. Well, you just tell us what you're doing.
I think I'm going to turn a light on. It looks a little dark.
Okay. So Sue is doing a make and take in her booth. You do not have to sign up ahead of time, but it's only $4. So you're going to want to go and do the make and take for sure.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, my name is Sue Purdy, and if I look familiar to a lot of people, I used to own Sue Sparklers, which was the iron-on metal and crystal transfers. And I sold it in 2007. And a few years later, through different circumstances, I got it back. I started it up again. But I finally think I got rid of it last year for almost permanently this time, because I love laser cutting. I love the creativity of what I can do with this. And so I wanted to expand into that. So the first class I teach on Wednesday, which is Wednesday morning from 8 to 9:30. And you can come early to the classes. They will be open at 7:30. And I don't mind that because I'm going to be there also. And I do recommend it for the Wednesday class because the wall hanging that we're going to make, this right here, this is the one where you need a sewing machine to bring it with you, because before we can do the applique on front of the wall hanging, we have to do the zigzag stitching in between all the different squares. And I'm not sure if you can see that right there, but the applique sits on top. So it would be very difficult to go back and do the stitching afterwards. And we use a couple different shades of green. I mentioned that in the class also. So if you want to, you know, just bring some variety shades, spools of green, that would be great. I'm going to shut this curtain.
So you're not piecing that background.
It's all iron on.
Okay, I like that. Quick
It's
and
all
easy.
iron on. My classes are basically for people that not necessarily don't want to learn techniques, but maybe don't have the time, don't have the aptitude, don't think they have the aptitude, but they want to make something that looks quilted. And it's quilted because it's 3 layers. We have zigzag the top, so you have zigzag stitching on the back. And so that's called quilted. And on the front, we've done the laser cut applique, which will be all cut out for you. And it's simple. We're just fast, easy projects. We just want to get them done. We don't want to join the pile in the corner that keeps looking at you, you know, saying, come back to me, come back to me. And, you know, let's just get them done. So pretty much it is possible to get this whole thing done in class. Okay. And that's what I like to have in class to get done. Okay. So we also have welcome signs. The fusible that I use is a permanent fusible. It will iron onto metal, wood, anything where you can't stitch it afterwards. So if you're doing applique, but you can't stitch it down afterwards, this is a permanent fusible. So you will have a choice. Right now, the choice isn't on the website, but you'll have a choice between the Merry Christmas welcome sign and the pine tree and the pine cone welcome sign. So either one, you don't have to come early to class for this. These are really fast. Sometimes they may look complicated. They're not. Like I said, they're all pretty much cut out for you. You just iron them onto the board. Then you'll just put one of those little hanging things on the back that, I forget what they're called. Or you can punch a hole in the top and hang it up that way. And you'll make really cute welcome signs. So that's on wood. The wood's included in the kit. So you will come home from that class with that project all done. Then, like the lady who is in front of me, wonderful English paper piecing. I mean, and there's a lot to explain, and it's very detailed and very pretty. Like I said, I just want to get projects done. I'm not one of these, 2-year quilt projects and they go in a contest. We're not aiming for that. Okay, so when I started fabric painting back in the, I think, mid 80s, early 90s, they didn't have art stencils at the time. So in this class, we're going to get more into the spray painting and sponge painting using stencils. So I used to use tape and stickers, and you can see on here, I think on the outlines there, that I'm using tape. Well, we're going back to my roots. We're gonna spray paint the shirt, but first we've put the tape on there, and we put the tape in an argyle pattern so it'll look like lattice. And so then we took the appliques and appliqued the stems on there, but then I sponge painted the flowers, and you will get the stencil for that will sponge paint the flowers, and you get all the paint included. Everything's included in the kit. And then you'll also get some laser cut bees, some big ones and some little ones that I think just kind of add on, to the whole look, make it like kind of gardeny there. Then the second half of that project is you will also take this applique and put it onto this white shirt. And you will have a freezer paper template. And she talked about freezer paper templates. They are so much fun to use. And I laser cut the freezer paper on my machine. And then you iron it onto your shirt with all the cutouts in it. And then you take and iron the appliques into the cutouts, and you peel off the freezer paper, and your whole pattern just seems to appear like magic in front of you. And those are my classes. They're really simple. They're really easy. You're going to get them done in class. You can bring fabric if all you want to do is try out the technique, or if you want to make not a table runner, a placemat. If you want to make a placemat and just put a flower on top, on the corner of something on the placemat. So if you just want to try out the techniques, feel free to bring fabric with you to paint. And we also did some light spray painting in the background behind the flower, because it's kind of weird if a shirt stays just plain white and then you put something, down on top of it. So here we spray painted the shirt so we'd get that green color and then have the pink flower put down on top of it. And that's probably too short, Beth, but
no, that's fine. That's fine. It gets all your classes across, which they love. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for Sue? I know she's doing a make and take in her booth. She will have
these
a
are
booth.
the coasters. They're like little wood coasters that you'll make.
Perfect.
Okay.
And Sue, what's your website in case they want to go on and see? A lot of them are kind of mapping out what they're going to do at the quilt show, what they're looking for.
Right. I don't have a website, but I sell on Etsy, and the site on Etsy is you think I'd remember, Sue's Laser Cut Applique. And it's all one word. There's never spaces between it. So it's Sue's Laser Cut Applique. And these are a couple of the ones that I will have up on my website. Like here's the deer at the water with the trees. Here I did this one for Easter. You can sit with us. Can you see those very well, Beth?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Okay. And then this one here, we have a bear, catching his salmon at the creek, at the river. So we do all kinds of Northwest outdoors, sewing, cats, dogs, all kinds of applique, just all kinds.
So if you guys want to get a jump start and get some right now, so you can kind of look at them and then ask Sue questions at the show, you can go to her Etsy site, or she'll see you at the show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. I think you explained it really well. I love the very first quilt that you have with the blocks. That one is beautiful.
And it's on a diagonal, and they don't make much of the I use Quilt Fuse, and they discontinued making the diagonal. And I happen to have one bolt of it, and I thought, oh, I'll use it for this quilt.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in June.
You got it. Right. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So I just want to remind you guys that we are going to have a fashion show. Let me see here. We are going to have a fashion show on Friday night. So make sure that you get your tickets. It will be outfits from the Project Runway. We've got, I'm not sure what happened to Joe. But he must have gotten caught up. I know he had a phone call before us, so he must have got caught up with that. So we'll get him scheduled for one of the next lives. And make sure you get your rooms already, because they are selling out with the rate that we have. Those are selling out. So get your rooms, get your classes. And I do have 2 complimentary tickets here to the show. So if you guys can type in and we'll check. Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about a question. Devin, can you think of Oh, I asked Devin if he could think of a joke. Okay, I was going to just give it to the 2 first people that logged on, so I think I'll do that. Although I know they're both from the East Coast. So Victor and Susan are the winners of the 2 free tickets. We do have Trash to Treasures bags available. They're $10 plus $4.95 for shipping. It has a variety of stuff in there. And then you can make anything you want to make. And it goes into a challenge. It's a viewer's choice challenge. And it's a $200 first place, $100 second place, and $50 third place to Fabric Chicks. So if you want to join that challenge, it is displayed at Quilt Show Reno. And I think that's it. Make sure you get your tickets for the fashion show. It's going to be a lot of fun. And make sure that you're working on making outfits, because I think we're going to do some spontaneous fashion shows during the show, during the week. So we will see you guys next Monday at 3:00. Have a great week. Go get some sewing done. See you later. Bye-bye.